Thank you so much, Landon. As a former coach of yours and Anjali and a few others, I am so proud of what you all put together. And thank you to the amazing speakers. Thank you for coming and showing your support for this wonderful event. You ready for this? Did you go to Montessori? Let's try it one more time. You ready? That's my way of knowing that you're ready. Your ears and eyes, your mind and heart is open to what we're about to talk about. My most vivid childhood memory is not a memory of playing Little League baseball with my friends. It's not a memory of going to my favorite summer camp on Chesapeake Bay in Virginia. But it's a memory of standing in the middle of a country dirt road, tears streaming down my face as I watched my mother and my father drive away from the foster home that I was living in. It was devastating to me. I couldn't understand why I could not live with my mother and father. Everyone else I knew lived with their parents. That experience was the catalyst for many difficult years to follow. I look back at my childhood now, and I ask myself, how does a young kid growing up in that unstable environment make it to where he is today and to who he is today? And the answer to that question is resilience. You see, I stayed in the game. I never, ever quit. I had so many opportunities to just pack it up, not just in my childhood, but in my young adult life and certainly in my career. The easiest thing for me to do would be to just fold it up and say, I'm done. But that's not who I am. And that's what I want to talk to you about. Resilience to me is the ability to persevere through adversity. And this is the part. And to keep moving forward. It's not enough just to make it through and say, hey, I overcame that. But what's next? You got to keep moving forward. You're always going to be climbing that mountain. Okay? So what I want to talk to you about are my experiences, what I've learned through my years of developing perseverance and being resilient. So I have what's called the Coach Dave Gray 3 P's of resilience. And the first one is purpose. You need to find your purpose. Now for me, that didn't happen until I was in my mid-30s. I didn't know the grand scheme of who I was and what I was going to do, the impact I was going to make. So there's no timeline. But you as young people, right now, you need to write down what truly matters to you. What has meaning to you? What drives you to move forward and work towards your goals? I think of my own mother, the oldest of 13 children, born in a little farmhouse in the high mountains of central Puerto Rico. She had no running water. She had no electricity. My mother tells me that when she was a young child, she nearly died from typhoid fever because there wasn't a medic or medical facilities anywhere in the town, in the area. They would have to go to San Juan. Do you know how long that would take? I look at my mother. She had a purpose. She knew that out there was a greater opportunity for her, a chance for her to fulfill her life's goals. She made the hard decision at 17 to move to the United States to pursue that goal of fulfillment. And she landed in Pittsburgh. She didn't know a lick of English. She taught herself the language. When she could speak a little bit of English, she walked into Children's Hospital in Oakland, and she got a job working in the cafeteria. Well, for 35 years, my mother worked at Children's Hospital preparing meals for children and their families. Now, my mother faced a lot of adversity during those times. She faced workplace discrimination. She didn't know the language. She had no money. She was new to the area, but she had a purpose. And her purpose was greater than any adversity that was placed in front of her. So I ask you, what drives you when you get up in the morning? What gives you meaning? What pushes you towards your goals? I want you to take time this week and write it down and keep it where you can see it, because that's going to help you envision your future. The second P is a positive mindset. Now, if you know me, I think you would say that I have a very strong positive outlook. I have to. I have no choice. I have an unwavering belief in my potential. When I was young and I was in the midst of moving from foster home to foster home and school to school and trying to make friends, and then moving to another school district and making friends, I had no sense of identity. I had no idea who I was. However, deep down inside, in the core of my heart, I knew that someday, given the opportunity, I was going to make a difference. I was going to be significant in some way. And it turns out, in my mid-30s, I finally realized my life purpose. Having been growing up in foster homes, it was now my mission to be there for kids that feel insecure, for kids that question their own identity and what their purpose is in this world. So that's a positive mindset. The third P is the power of positive relationships. I felt most of my life that I was on an island, that no one was experiencing what I was experiencing. I didn't feel, based on my experience of living with different families, that I could trust someone enough to go and to seek shelter, seek a safe haven. So what I do, and what I encourage you to do, is to make a support system. We have in my business what's called a coaching tree, which if you get out a piece of paper and you draw a circle and you put your name in the middle of the circle and you draw lines from the circle, you write names of coaches or people that have inspired you and impacted you and have helped spark or ignite the direction that you're moving in. And so, if I think about my coaching tree right now, one specific person, one branch of that tree that was so influential in my life, that helped me develop resilience and to persevere, was not only the greatest mentor in my life, he was also my best friend. And that was Chris Gretsch. That name might sound familiar, but Chris was my inspiration. In my mid-20s, 26 years old, I was struggling to find out who I was. There was no Coach Dave. There was just Dave. And Chris saw in me potential. He helped bring potential out of me so that I could recognize what I was capable of, my own capacity to be a contributing human being. And so Chris said to me one day, he said, Dave, I know that you love sports. I know that you love and connect with working with children. He said, I'm going to help you start a business. And what we're going to do is we're going to teach kids sports instruction. And through teaching kids sports instruction, we can teach them to be better human beings. And I said, that's great, Chris. Let's do this. And you know that business that we started at a little desk in our apartment actually 28 years ago, is a thriving business that I call CDG Sports today. And it's because I had a support system. Someone where when things got tough, where I felt like I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel, that I could confide in, that I could go for guidance. Now, tragically and unexpectedly, Chris passed away a year after we started our business. But the lessons I learned and the memories I have of him encouraging me and supporting me stick with me today. Whenever I'm in the pits, we all have our pit moments, and I'm not sure, I ask myself, what would Chris do? And so I encourage you to write down the people in your life who have made an impact on you, people in your life that you know that you can turn to, and they won't judge you. And you keep them close to you, because when you go to school and you start and embark on a new career, the storm is coming. And the question is, are you prepared to weather that storm? And by having a purpose in your life and finding out what your identity is and what your role is in this world, coupled with a positive attitude, a mindset that says every day when you wake up, you're going to challenge yourself to be a better person than you were yesterday. And that's what I do every day. I want to be a better person, because if I'm a better person, then I'm going to help the children and the people I engage with be the best version of themselves. And finally, that last P, who are your positive relationships? How can you mobilize those people in your life to be your support system? Because they're going to help you realize your dreams. Now, one point I want to leave you with doesn't have to do with being resilient, but it's just something in my world that makes such a difference. And I want to tell to you young people, whatever you do in life, and I'm not talking the big things that are, within all the spotlight, but I'm talking the daily actions that you take every day. You do it with enthusiasm. You give it everything you have, you make it matter. Because at this stage in your life, everything you are doing, you are leaving a footprint. You're probably not thinking about it, but you're building a legacy. Just like Chris Kretsch, at the age of 28, left his mark and his legacy. I want you to start thinking about leaving your legacy. Be resilient, stay in the race, and never, ever quit. I'll leave you with a favorite quote that my grandfather had, that he said to me all through my life. He would say, David, hang in there. Keep looking up, because the best is yet to come. And I thank you for your time. God bless you all. Thank you.